my first question is, what do you think is the most important thing to do in a race?
I think it is to worry about yourself. So when you're racing, really stick to your plan. I guess when you're training, you've probably set out a plan to do in your race. So don't, worry about what other people are doing. Just worry about yourself.
Okay. How do you know when your swimmers will be an Olympian?
It's a very good question. This takes a lot of work. Also talent identification processes that you see. Are they talented to swim? Do they have the great attributes? But work ethic. You've got to be a good person, have really good work ethic to be an Olympian. Being able to come back every day and be that same person that you were when you started. Not changing or being upset because things aren't going well. Or if you are going really well, not thinking that you're better than what you are. Coming back and being the same consistent person every session, every day.
What was one of the toughest decisions that you had to make as a coach for you and your swimmers?
Well, that's very deep, very good question. It's actually letting go of the family a little bit on the pursuit of trying to get to the Olympics. So, I'm not home basically when the boys go to sleep. I've got 2 boys. I'm not home when they go to take them to football or to swimming practice. Sometimes I'm not home for dinner. So just missing out on that opportunity, but that's a decision that we made on the pursuit of trying to get Olympic glory. Good question.
What was going through your head in the marshalling room before your 400 freestyle against Katie Ledecky?
My head was pretty calm. I was actually just enjoying watching in the marshalling room. They have on the TV screen the races that are going before you, and I was enjoying watching the racing, but I was also just trying to stay really relaxed and not worry too much. I was just trying to stay as calm as I could and conserve my energy and keep my nerves in check. And then I pretty much stood up, but I like to jump around a bit, get myself moving a little bit, but I'm not thinking about too much. I'm not honestly really thinking about my race. I'm just trying to stay really calm.
Do you get as excited over St. Peter's swimming as you do for the Olympics?
Absolutely. You see me at QG Triple SA. I love it. I was running up and down from the 25-metre mark right to the end for every swimmer. Arnie was next to me. She's there and everybody gets out the water, shaking everybody's hand. We got 4th in a race, which we thought we might have got 8th, and I think I jumped up and down as much as when Arnie won the gold. So absolutely, which you will see next year or the year after.
You'll see me next year.
Yes.
So you're in grade 7 next year?
Yeah.
How exciting.
You will see. I will be there.
QG is so fun. So fun.
One of your favourite races? Events?
Yeah, probably. I mean, when I finished up in school, I'd been to Commonwealth Games and World Championships, and QG is right up there with the best. It's really fun, and they have such a great crowd, so it's going to be good.
I've got a question for Abby.
Yeah.
When you started swimming, were you already a breaststroker?
No, I was actually a backstroker. Yeah, Dee would laugh about that.
There's no way.
But it's probably my worst stroke now.
Okay, question for you. Besides swimming, do you have any other hobbies outside of swimming or other sports?
So in my spare time I actually do special effects makeup, which is a bit of a random hobby, but doesn't really go with my swimming, but it's a nice outlet that's not a sport.
Question for Mollie. How did you feel breaking the junior world record in 200 freestyle?
I actually didn't really know at first, but afterwards it was really exciting. It surprised me when I did. Yeah.
Since you made such a big achievement when you're so young, and you obviously watch what professionals do, but do you have any tips to keep yourself calm or anything for younger swimmers that can't?
A big thing with me trying to keep calm, I like to talk a lot. So different people, especially in marshalling and all that, different people have different ways of coping with nerves and everything. But leading up to it, I like to distract myself with random things. And sometimes fidgeting and marshalling or just talking can take my mind off it, and I think that's probably one of the best ways, or like people like to listen to music.
What does success look like to you guys in the pool? Like,
I think in the pool you can only compare yourself to yourself.
Yeah.
So in terms of success, it's bettering yourself. So I guess like for me, I'd be measuring on my PBs and that kind of thing rather than off someone else's success.
My success I measure on my self-fulfillment, I think, the goals that I set myself. And I think it's all relative to your own life. So even though I've won at the Olympics, I still believe that hopefully there's more success in front of me. I still have more things that I would like to achieve, and so if I achieve that, I believe that that's success in my eyes, that I've achieved what I've set out to do in my sport.
How did it feel making your first Olympics?
It was very special. I would look at like all the Olympians like in the past years and think like it'd be an absolute dream to be on the team, and for me to achieve that, it was something really special.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal to think that we kind of achieved making it to like the pinnacle event that most athletes are striving for. So it still doesn't feel like it happened. It still feels like a bit like it was a dream.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It definitely didn't feel like it actually happened. It's kind of like coming afterwards too. It's a bit of a different feeling, like knowing that you're an Olympian now and that you've made it pretty much. But still, there's more to come. And yeah, it was just a great experience in general.
The 4 girls that are here all had a lot of adversity to get through, so I'll go through this way about trying to be an Olympian. Arnie had to deal with a major shoulder problem, so for 3 months she couldn't swim properly. Abbey tried to make it for the 100 breaststroke and then missed it and had to deal with a huge amount of emotions of seeing other people make the team, and she was basically come up to be the last person to make the team. She had one shot, there was one moment, and she really wanted it, and she missed the first time. So that was a big moment, adversity. Then you had Evie, couldn't get back to New Zealand to make it. She missed part of the team. She made it, and they said, no, it won't count. And then she had to go to the Australian Swimming Championships and make it there to get the time. All adversity. And then Mollie missed it in the 100 backstroke, and then an opportunity to try and make it in the 200 freestyle. So, didn't make their first swims. Arnie did, but she had a shoulder problem going through for 3 months. But it's very difficult. You've got to be able to deal with adversity, and everyone here dealt with it.
How did you deal with your shoulder injury?
So it was really hard. I had a great team around me. I obviously had Dean, and I had my physio Peter and Jeremy, who was our strength and conditioning coach. And we pretty much made a plan. And my shoulder injury pretty much happened at the worst time. It was at the last 6 months left to go before the Olympics. So it was hard to manage it, but we had to make sure that I didn't get back into training too quickly and it would get really sore again. I wouldn't be able to train, but we had to also make sure that I could get back to training, and it might not be completely healed, but still have to push through so I could start getting better for the Olympics. But the hardest part was really when we would, be at training, and I literally had to watch everyone do what I would usually be doing and getting better, and I wasn't allowed to do any of it, and that's the hardest part. So I think it was more mentally tough than being physically a bit broken, because you can't do anything. It's really hard to watch all your other teammates training and you're on the sidelines. So that was the hardest part. But we got through it, and pretty much miraculously, I still had pain all the way in Cairns and a bit niggly. As soon as we got to Tokyo, not even kidding, my shoulder somehow did not give me one issue at the Olympics, and it was kind of like it was meant to be. So I was very, very lucky and grateful for that.
Instant reaction when you found out that last year that the Olympics was going to be postponed?
Abby?
Well, I remember it was a Monday morning, and Dean, we all had a meeting.
Oh, here we go.
And Dean said, guys, I have a really good feeling that everything's going to clear and the Olympics are going to go ahead. And we're all sitting there going, okay, this is good. We are to train through it. Everyone was training very well. And then probably, 6 hours later, Dean wakes up from a nap, and there's messages all on his phone just saying, Olympics cancelled, Australians are pulled out from the Olympic Games. And so obviously we got a message to say, guys, come meet at the pool. So we all met at the pool, and from there on, I actually remember standing next to Arnie, next to the pool, and we were just looking down the pool, and we bawled our eyes out because we were probably in the best place mentally and physically. And it was just everything had just crumbled down, and we're just like, okay, we've got to, like, this is what's going on, and we've got to restart and just relax for now. So for us, it was pretty
I
emotional.
think the hardest part was, as athletes, you have such a strict routine, you know, like you're training twice a day and you have a sleep in the day and everything's based around your training, and suddenly within an instant the next day you had nothing to do.
Yeah.
I think that was the hardest part, having to adjust to not having a routine. But it was really tough, you know, all of us, it was like, this is our job, this is what we train for, and for that to be taken away, and we didn't know at the time that it was actually going to happen, like we didn't know whether it was going to be cancelled completely, so it was really hard.
In hindsight, do you think it would be better if you did it last year? Do you think that you would have succeeded as good as you did this year?
I'd like to think that we would have competed just as well last year as we did this year, but I think having the advantage of training an extra year, even though, you know, it was heartbreaking finding out that the Olympics was cancelled last year, that extra couple months of training really probably put, especially us younger ones, like in the place to perform on the world stage. So
I definitely thought of it as like a positive thing, because I was only 15, 16 around the time COVID hit, and I found it gave me an extra year to train, and around the time last year I was definitely probably not going to make the team. I was either just going to make it or make it, and just in general, like, I was not at the same level as I was this year, so I definitely think it was a positive thing that it did happen.
I don't know, I've thought about this. I don't know if Arnie would have won in hindsight. I don't know, I really can't tell. The extra year was probably beneficial. So you've got to remember, it's a window, and the window opens as every 4 years Olympics. Now it's 5, and some people's performance will be on the right time and some will just be off the back of it. So it's hard to tell. I believe everybody here can be faster. I don't think they've reached their peak. But where that peak is going to be, is it going to be for next year? Is it going to be for Paris? We don't know. But I think it did help us.
I'm doing my first 400 free nationals. Wow. So is there any tips that you could give me so that I could do pretty good?
The hardest part in the 400 is not falling asleep in the middle of the race in the 200 and the 300 mark, because a lot of people, it's quite 8 laps, you know, so you want to make sure every lap you're thinking about something. So whether you're the first 100, you know, building through that, second 100 building, third 100 building, and then last 100 going faster. So you want to make sure that you still can finish very well. That's how I tried to teach myself when I first started doing 400s. I was about 11 when I started doing 400s. How old are you? 11.
Perfect.
So just trying to focus on trying to be better at each 100, and then once you get used to swimming the 400, then you can start making a more specific plan. So for me, it's very specific, but the last 3 laps we tried to really make, you know, the best in the world, but we also had to make sure that I could still come home fast but go out fast. So that's something that you can work on as you get older.